Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kurt the Arborist, own and operate Cochrane Tree Care here in Cochrane, Alberta. And I'm just going to start posting on YouTube a bunch more. I'm a jobber ambassador, so stick with me. This isn't an advertisement. I got some good info here for you. But yeah, I'm an ambassador. I used to post on Instagram, but I found Instagram with social media these days, I don't know what you guys think, they've all sort of declined, right? But Instagram especially, like, it's just what the most recent posts are. I remember back in the day, it used to just be like a nice photo. It was a great way to showcase photos. You could hashtag stuff. You could find things that you enjoyed that were kind of in the community of things that you were looking for, whether it was tree work or, some sport you're into, whatever. But now it's just like constant, really short form reels. And I know YouTube isn't a ton better, lots of shorts and things, but at least a lot of the content in YouTube is more evergreen, in my opinion. Like, you can actually search it up. You can leave like longer descriptions, links. I find it's a little bit more helpful. So it's a better way for me to communicate things that I want to talk about to the tree world. And again, these things are just kind of my opinion. So, just take it with a grain of salt. But today I kind of wanted to talk about our approach to customers. Like, what is an arborist? What's an arborist defined as? So I know there's no like protected term or anything like that between like arborist versus like a tree cutter, or I don't know, maybe different parts of the world there is, like for tree surgeon, tree doctor, whatever. But it was always my assumption that an arborist was someone who kind of really understood trees on a deep level, like the biology, how they grow, all that kind of stuff. And like looking after them while they were alive was like a massive part, like probably more than removing them. Removing them was like when they just couldn't survive anymore. But it turns out most of the industry, as it appears to me, is tree cutters, right? So meaning you're trained to hopefully safely use a chainsaw and use the equipment. And, the industry hires a lot of laborers. It's probably cheaper just to hire guys with chainsaws and do lots of tree removals. There's lots of declining trees in the world. It seems to be a bit of an increase. So there's a big market for it. I totally get it. And Cochrane Tree Care, we remove a lot of trees too. Unfortunately, I feel like it's just the quick fix. It's the Band-Aid fix to make quick, easy money. And I've been through this now for a few years with our company. Starting out, it was easier and a relief when I would get a tree removal, because it was like, hey, as long as I don't break anything, I'm not going to screw anything up. But I would have customers that would ask me, should I prune this tree? Or like, is it healthy? Is it, how big is it going to get? Like all these questions. They just assume you're like this tree expert. And I would find myself wanting to recommend removal because it was just easier for me. And I wasn't confident in pruning the trees or offering health advice, beyond pruning, like, because pruning itself adds stress to the tree, right? Like, I know long-term gain, we need to have clearance against houses. We need to like remove disease, like so many different targets. And I think pruning itself is a bit of an art form, right? Like, I've had employees now where I've trained them in my ways of how I like to prune trees and how I like to approach them. And the end result is always like a good pruned tree. Like, when I see it before and after without muddling and micromanaging anyone, it's good. And maybe there's a few branches here and there, of course, that I would want to prune out myself, whatever, little like small detail type stuff. But my point is, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, as they say, and there's multiple ways to prune a tree, and our employees can do a good job, usually if left alone, to sort of figure it out. And that's what I'm doing now. They're out pruning a tree, and I'm in the truck anxiously waiting to hopefully find out it went well. Anyways, what I'm trying to roundaboutly get to is what an arborist is. And before this job goes down, where we either prune or remove a tree, there's obviously contact with the homeowner, right? So that's almost like a completely different job, being like business owner or being a team lead in a business, where you need to be an advocate for the tree. You need to communicate with the customer. You need to sell work, all that kind of stuff. So these small business owners like myself, you're kind of doing everything. Like, you're a tree cutter, you're an arborist, you're a tree doctor, you're the salesperson, you're everything. So it's difficult to be good at all of them. And I think a lot of it does come with experience. But I think if I could offer any advice to newer arborists that are also in the same position, or experienced ones, whatever, that are trying to better themselves as arborists, it's my belief that we need to obviously fully understand the tree and have all of these options and things like that, and be able to offer pruning in the right situations or health treatments in the right situations. But with that knowledge, you need to be an advocate for the tree. So you're literally speaking for the tree because it does not have a voice. Like, what would the tree want? And this is something that Mark Chisholm talked to me and told me about in a podcast that we did together. I have a podcast called The Arborist Blueprint. There's a number of episodes on there. I have actually like 6 more episodes I need to release. I just haven't done it. Like, been swamped and like priorities shifted. Anyways, check out The Arborist Blueprint with Mark Chisholm there. He talks about this a little bit, and how as an arborist, we're meant to create this marriage or this harmony between the homeowner and the trees, right? But I feel like we fill 2 roles. Like, we speak for the tree, what the tree wants, but we're also then the mediator between the tree and the homeowner. And it's also our job to identify when the homeowner clearly knows what they want versus they're not sure what they want, they're looking for guidance, or perhaps they're making a decision that has some unintended consequences on their end that we can foresee. So we need to offer that advice as well. For example, people want trees pruned for vista pruning, right? They want the tops cut off their trees here in Cochrane because we live a very hilly community and they want to see the mountains. Fair enough. And I know a lot of arborists will do that. And we choose not to. That's kind of where we draw the line. We don't really do a lot of tree topping. I mean, there are certain exceptions where trees have been already sort of topped, pruned, or shaped in a certain way, spruces especially, that we will maintain, but we often take the time to educate the client on some of the consequences, especially in our region. So like, our region is very dry, Chinooks, like trees don't grow well here. So little bits of stress and improper pruning techniques or not caring for the tree with organic matter and all these different things really affect the tree and the tree's overall health and longevity and everything. So it's more important, I think, for me than it is for people in other places of the world. So keep that in mind. But in order to like even sell these jobs and build a long-term relationship, like, you need to be confident about what you're talking about, have poise and discuss these options. It doesn't need to take long, but I think it's good to build your repertoire as an arborist. You start out, you might be doing some more chainsaw work and doing removals, but definitely keep that spark alive in the tree industry and really get to learn these trees, like learn what species they are, like how they behave. And don't just wait for time to go by and gain experience over years by seeing certain situations. That's great too. But I think you also need to do some didactic education. So, getting your ISA certification is one method. Ed Gilman, I believe is his name, has a lot of books out about pruning. Shigo, tons of amazing books about biology and code it and all these things. And when you can understand the base level of trees, like literally the root problem, and how trees actually grow and how they're similar to like every other plant in the world, and they have symbiotic relationships with microbiology and the fungi in the soil, and how they use oxygen through their roots, and how the fungi uses oxygen, and where the pore space in soil comes from. And even question the conventional paradigm of these schools. Like, I went to landscape horticulture school here. I did 1 year, and the content seemed like old school, archaic, right? And they're talking about really standard stuff. Like, they really push like the pH in soil and like what structure it is. Is it sandy loam? Is it whatever loam? Like, is like the soil 50% of sandsill clay and pore space. And like, I get it. Those are basic conventional things, but understand why those things are and where they came from. Because honestly, 5% organic matter for a soil, like they teach you in school, is not really realistic. Like, in my opinion, that's kind of like a crap graph that was created probably by the people who funded and created the schools to make that okay, because there's industry standard of how their soil has to be when they replace it at houses and different things. And I don't know if that's true or not, but this is like generally how this stuff kind of comes about. Like, if you go to a tree in its natural environment, like in the forest, right, there's a lot more than 5% organic matter in the soil. So like, our philosophy is, and this is a niche thing for us, but we have a philosophy of what's called mimicking nature. Okay, boom. I even got t-shirts, check it out. we really promote doing things kind of organically and naturally and working with the tree and nature and not fighting against it. So we're not putting down chemicals, synthetics, herbicides, like all this kind of stuff. But the point is that we found this niche of something that we're passionate about in our business and that we believe in, right? And then we became self-educated on. I went down the rabbit holes with soil science and the soil food web and some permaculture. And I got all these different modalities of training, and then I combined them into the business that I wanted to create of how I believe trees should be pruned and when they should be removed. And it backs up all of the information that I relay to clients. Because you go to clients as an arborist or whatever you call yourself, and oftentimes the homeowner says, well, I don't know what to do. You're the expert, right? And if we're cutting down trees as the default mode, right, we're not only losing trees. If you're an environmentalist, you're like, too many trees are gone. And that's very true. Why I started atmostree.org to replace trees positively for businesses. Quick plug for my own organization, which has been doing great, by the way. Planted over 6,000 trees now with different arborists in this alliance. Just check out atmostree.org if you want to learn more about that. But trees are become at a loss in your own community. Like, you're literally losing future jobs. Like, the trees are disappearing, right? So we want to be able to like maintain these trees. And I know it's fast money right away, but trust me, if you can educate yourself in understanding the tree and the biology and the health and why insects and diseases are there and all these things that customers ask questions about, like really know what you're talking about, then you can start offering like consultations and charging for them. This is a big thing that I have with the industry that I feel like arborists are getting ripped off on, and probably lots of industries. And it's also hurting the community for the people that are trying to charge for consultations and things, like myself, because it's kind of like having a person that fires up as a tree cutter arborist and is lowballing everyone and stays in business for a year or two cutting trees, front yard spruce trees down, you know, for like nothing, because they're like, yay, I made $400 today, look at me go. But like, they have no idea the costs and the background work and expenses it does to run a legitimate business, right? As a lot of you already know. So I think understanding all of these things gives you the confidence and the poise, as I mentioned before, in order to, you know, tell the clients, I have a lot of information here. Why don't we book a consultation? So we do a lot of our quotes through photos. And I openly say on our website when everybody applies to have our tree work done, that they're making a request. Psychologically, it's a request. They're asking me to come give them work. It's not like a demand. Like, we're not a yes man or a yes person or whatever you want to call it, where it's like they dictate what we do, right? Again, we're the tree advocate and we're the mediator. So we should have more influence over the tree work than they do. Ultimately, the customer makes the final call, but that should be based on our influence and our services available, right? So if you don't even offer pruning services, like, how are you going to do this? So if you only do tree removals, you need to start learning how to do tree pruning, right? And then beyond tree pruning, you need to start understanding tree biology and these insects and diseases and what you're going to do about that. It's my opinion that you shouldn't do tree injections and you shouldn't do chemical applications. I don't think it's good long-term. It kills the biology in the soil, that symbiotic relationship I talked about. If you don't understand what that is, I would encourage you to learn about that and how important and how detrimental it is to use chemicals and treat trees in this way. Because customers have trees in their yard, amongst their lawn and their garden and lots of things, their pets, their children. So it's not just the tree. The tree is also in an ecosystem with a variety of other things, which is also opportunity for more business for you. So if you can go there and be a one-stop shop and talk to your client, talk to them about their tree, first tell them it's a consultation. It's going to cost them X amount of dollars for you to come by for an hour or less and just talk about trees. Then you're basically giving them a sales pitch and building trust with them for that period of time and getting paid for your time, okay? And then you can recommend what kind of work to do going forward. So now they've paid you for a consult. And then in our case, I talk about this biology and these trees and how they're sick because our area is very difficult for trees to grow, that we've incorporated a new treatment program that started last year. And I got over 50 subscribing clients in the first year. It blew our minds, but it's like people want a solution. They want to buy something to fix the problem. It's just how people are psychologically trained, right? It's very reactive. It's like, I have a rash, I go to the doctor and he gives me a product, a prescription to put on it. Like, that's how the world works. It's reactive. But if you go there and you explain how this all works and how there's all these DIY solutions they can do, they can save money, they can reuse your mulch that you create, Or you can do these treatments like we're doing. We're doing biological, organic, like compost tea type microbial applications to trees and to fix their soil and everything. Then you've kind of like, you've hooked them in as a customer long term. Then they might want you to prune, but you might say, hey, we can't prune that tree yet. We'll prune the disease out, but we don't want to prune any more than that for a period of time because pruning adds stress to your tree as well. We'll do it, but let's give it a break. Let's let it rest. Let's work on getting the mulch and the compost down. You sell them mulch, you sell them the treatments. We've sold them the consult. Now they're already on the books to plan another pruning in say a year or two. They likely have other trees, right? If you want to get into like lawn care and other things like that, or doing their shrubs, whatever, that's more opportunity for you as well. I've done this multiple times. And then once they trust you, they're like recommending you to other customers. You're building your business that way through the people in your community, and they love it. They eat this stuff up, and then they leave you 5-star reviews. Like we have over 200 5-star reviews now, 5-star streak on Google. It's awesome. And I attribute it all to this knowledge and confidence and educating people. I take the time to do it, but again, I don't do it for free. So it's how we run our business. And I know I went off on a bit of a tangent there and stuff, but I really feel it's a really good way and it really works for us. And I would encourage you out there to be the educated arborist that can be an advocate for the trees, mediate between the clients, and build a bigger repertoire of services and expertise in your tree company. And I promise you, long-term, you're going to have more business. You're not going to have to pay for advertising. You're going to be well sought after. People are going to want you to speak at local things. Like it's only going to get better. Okay. It's not gonna be a means to an end of just slaving out there and cutting trees down until you break your body and you have to quit. All right. So that's it for me. Again, I'm here on YouTube now, releasing some of these videos. You should be seeing a bit more because I am a Jobber ambassador. I work with Jobber. It's a software company, if you're not familiar, that captures our information. It works great. So if you want to talk about Jobber or how to do these things, I really do believe that it's the first contact with our customers, right? Like our voicemail says, go to our website. Everything says just like fill out this form. So they go to our website, they click on the form, and it's a Jobber template that you can create. It's super easy, captures their information. They can upload photos of their trees directly into it. So you have everything there available for you. Then you know whether you need to go on site and do a quote or not right away, right? It's perfect for us. I can text message people through the Jobber software. I don't have to use my personal number. It keeps track of everything, all of your communications you've had. So when there's miscommunication down the road, you can go back and see everything that you've done. You know, it alerts you when you have an invoice, somebody, like all that stuff. It does everything. It's perfect, and it's super easy to use. So I know it's hard probably to put Jobber into a box and be a cookie cutter perfect for everyone out there. And I haven't tried other softwares. I'm being 100% honest and transparent, but it has worked like amazing for us. And it ties into some marketing tools. It asks people to leave reviews after we're done jobs automatically, so I don't have to hassle them and look awkward on site doing it. Like it's awesome. So anyways, because I'm an ambassador, we have ambassador links, and you can save up to, well, I believe it's 20% off you can save. It was for 6 months. There could be other promotions going on, and oftentimes you can still take advantage of those promotions first, and then the 20% off for 6 months again will kick in for the ambassador link afterwards. I'll have that link in the description. And again, any questions, DM me, reach out. And I'd love to connect with all you guys out there. Okay. Thanks for listening to me rant. Kurt the Arborist, Cochrane Tree Care. Stay safe out there. Take care.